Hello, I am Dr. Glenn Missick, and I welcome you to the 9th episode of Turks and Caicos Islands, Preserving Our Heritage and Our Culture. Today my special guest is Dr. Albray A.R. Butterfield, who is one of the pioneers of the economic development on the island of Providenciales in the Turks and Caicos Islands. Dr. Butterfield started from practically nothing, as you will hear from him, and he is now one of the most progressive and most wealthiest persons on this island, a native born on the island of Q. He has a lot of wisdom, and I trust that particularly our young people will listen to him and hear some of his words of how he got started by working hard and helping to uplift himself and others. And now here we are on, with this beautiful, beautiful island, Providenciales. So many people in the world want to come here. And it has, again, Grace Bay Beach, which has been labeled by Travel Magazine as for 8 years as the #1 beach in the world. I pray that you will listen and that you will learn. May God bless you. Said that you had joined the police force in Grand Turk at 17 and a half.
Yes.
It's pretty young.
Well, there wasn't much opportunity otherwise.
Yeah.
At that time.
Mm-hmm.
And my parents wanted me to go to Jamaica, to school.
Yeah.
But I didn't want to go to Jamaica because some of my teachers that were taught in Jamaica, I felt from experience, I know more than some of them. So I wanted to be either an engineer, a marine engineer, or a first-class carpenter, and a millionaire.
Okay.
And I left the police force and I went to sea.
Okay. Which is what most men did back here then?
Yes, at that time.
Okay.
But they put me in the engine room. And the first day I went down in the engine room and saw all those machinery. Everything looked so complicated. It seems like I would never learn that. But 3 months later, I was promoted to third assistant engineer.
Wow.
And I bought books and I started to study.
Yeah.
And I start up the ladder from that. And 6 months later, I was promoted to second assistant engineer. I was responsible at that time for all the fuel, F-gas, a diesel, and what they call MoGas for the island of Grand Turk. That's for the military.
Yeah.
And I did that for, 5 years.
Okay. Now, which military was this? The United States?
United States.
Okay, the Navy or the Air Force?
The Air Force.
Okay.
But the Navy got from them likewise.
Okay.
And so after that, I was promoted to first assistant engineer on the ship. And I was that for 3 years. And then my chief engineer on the ship wanted to go on vacation.
Mhm.
So he said that he did not want anybody to replace him on the ship. I was capable of taking care of things until he returned. And they never accepted him back.
Uh-huh. You were that good.
I did the job better than he was doing it.
Okay.
And so after that, they promoted me to port engineer in Cape Canaveral, Florida. And at that point, I was in charge of all the ships the company had running at that time. I'm talking about from an engineering point of view. And I stayed there with the company for 14 and a half years. And then I wanted to change. So I went to the Cape,
Okay.
Cape Canaveral.
Cape Canaveral,
And
where they were doing the space stuff there.
Space, yeah.
Right.
the missile.
So,
And I got a job with Bendix.
okay.
They were paying good money. But I told them that I had to go down to Trinidad to make one more trip to give the company notice, which I did. And during that time, I realized that when you're black and people consider you to be smart and you go on a new job, you don't have many friends.
Yeah.
So I didn't go to work for Bendix. I decided to send an application home to go in the crawfish business. At that time,
That's lobster. We call it lobster now. Yeah.
at that time, there was a lot of crawfish on the bank, lobster on the bank. And the lobster was bringing in a lot of money.
Yeah.
So I applied to the government, and for some reason, they turned my application, they refused my application. But they did pass it. At that time, the provision for an extra license. They issue the second license and they make provision for another license, but they didn't issue that license.
Yeah.
So when I heard that, I appealed to the Attorney General, who was then living in Nassau. And the Attorney General said, under the circumstances, me being a native, went away, bettered myself, come up with financing to do the job. He said that they couldn't refuse me. And that's how I get that license,
Wow.
the third license.
Okay.
So after I received that license, I give the company notice, and I left and came to Provo. Because Provo was the place where the divers was.
Okay.
Provo and South Caicos.
Yeah. What year are we talking about? 70s or?
No, this was 60, I came here in 68.
68. Okay.
But I started in '69
Okay.
because starting from scratch, it took a lot of time gathering materials to build a building and to get in shape, you know,
Yeah.
for all the things you need to go into the processing business. And I did that. As a result, Provo had at that time 400 people.
Okay. And 3 settlements?
Huh?
3 settlements?
Yes.
Yeah. Blue Hills?
The Bite and Five Keys.
Yeah.
So I needed, after I get started, I needed a lot of people. I had 600 people working for me at that time.
Wow.
I had more people working for me than the government had.
Wow.
And we did pretty good. But looking through the process of time, I realized that the government control will be so tight that you won't be able to make any money. So I sold the plant.
Okay.
And I started a supermarket.
Okay.
And I also started a fuel business. And I was the distributor for Shell from that time until this present day.
Wow.
And
Amazing.
yes, it's 30 odd, going to 40 years. And then I started a supermarket because there wasn't much of a place you could do shopping.
That was in downtown, or you created downtown?
I created downtown.
Okay. That's why it's called Butterfield
Square.
Square. Right. Yeah.
And I sort of made a decision of what I should do. And I said, if this island was to grow, you cannot grow without food for the people.
Right.
You cannot expand without petroleum products. And you cannot expand without land. So I hit those 3 things.
Wow.
Fuel, the grocery, and land. And they have been my real source throughout my tenure here in Providenciales.
Starting in 1968. 69. 69.
Yes. And
So you were a pioneer.
yes,
Okay. Of what we know now as Providenciales.
right.
Because growing up, we called this place Blue Hills. Everybody thought the whole thing
That's
was Blue Hills.
the truth. Right. Then I expand on Treasure Beach, providing accommodation for the tourists. And that was going good until, well, beaches move into
In the Bight.
just next to me.
Yeah, right next to you in the Bight. Yeah.
Yeah, I'm what the name of his association
Oh,
is?
Butch Stewart.
Yeah, but
Butch
yeah,
Stewart. I'm sorry, Sandals.
he
Sandals.
moved in,
Oh.
and many people wanted to buy Treasure Beach, But I wouldn't sell Treasure Beach. But after Bud Stewart, he wanted it as well. And they start to, every week from Thursday, Friday, Saturday, and Sunday, dances and stuff like that, music and dancing, and I couldn't stand the noise.
Yeah.
So he came to me, wanted to buy, and I agreed to sell it. I sold him, I thought I made a good deal, but I later on find out I couldn't get more.
Yeah. That's always the case, right?
Yeah, I sold it to him for $28 million.
Wow.
But, however, that pushed me over the edge that I was able to do other things. So I don't cry about spilled milk.
Yeah.
And in 1972, a fellow by the name of Hilton Taylor from Q,
Okay.
he came to me and he said, "Man, we need representation in Q." And he asked me if I would run for the election, and I told him, no way.
Now, this is representation in the Turks and Caicos government.
Right.
Right.
But finally, looking at the situation, I did decide to run. On the I think they called the party at that time PNO,
PNO, which is now, what, PNP?
which is now PNP.
Okay.
And I think during that election, we had 9 seats.
Who were some of the people in those seats that got elected to those seats?
There was Clarence Jolly, Edley Durham,
From Grand Turk?
yeah,
Clarence Jolly was from what?
and that's all.
But Middle Caicos? He
Bottom Creek,
represented Bottle Creek, North Caicos.
yeah. Norman Saunders,
South Caicos?
South Caicos. Charles Music, North Caicos.
North Caicos. That's Washington and Mike Missick's
Dad.
father, right?
Yeah, right. You had the guy from Saul Key, Alexander
Smith,
Smith,
Smitty,
right,
Josephine Connolly's father.
right,
Yeah.
and
Now he represented what? Grand Turk also, or Saul Key? Saul Key.
Saul Key at that
Saul
time.
Key, yeah, at that time, yeah.
Right.
He did.
And follow the
Bob's Francis?
who?
Bob's?
Bob Francis from Grand Turk, and
Dan Malcolm, was he part of it then? Or South Caicos?
I believe so.
Okay, yeah.
I believe it's Dan Malcolm and Stafford Missick.
Stafford Missick, who moved back from Nassau, who was very high up in the Bahamian government there,
Right,
and moved back here.
right. And myself. I think it was 9 of us. But at that time, the government, we didn't serve because of financial reason. We served because the country needed
Leadership,
leadership.
yeah.
And the pay at that time was $200 and some dollars a month.
Wow. Far from what they're getting now.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
And I did well during that period under the British government in my constituency. But we decided that
Now again, your constituency was Q?
Q North Caucus,
North
Q
Caucus.
would be in Sandy Point.
Okay.
And during my tenure, I got a lot of things done. We had the hotel in Whitby. I got a police station in Kew. I got a post office for Kew. I got a road from between Kew and Whitby. But I happened to be in a situation whereby I was able to get many things done.
Yeah.
And also with the airport in Middle Caucus, I provided the fuel for that and the road from North Caucus to Middle Caucus. Some of those things I haven't gotten paid as yet. Also, American Airlines came in, and there was no place at the airport to accommodate American Airlines.
In Provo.
In Providenciales.
Yeah.
And the government asked me to fix up the airport to accommodate American Airlines, which I did. I haven't gotten paid for that as yet.
Wow. And that was through your construction company?
Yes.
So you had a construction company, you had a oil company, you had fisheries, what else?
The grocery.
Grocery, okay. You had diversified your business dealings instead of
Well,
just
you
trying
had to.
Yeah, you had to.
Because the island wasn't big enough
Right.
to make a success out of one thing. So I diversified my business. So I would have a combination of things. And I did well.
Yeah.
And as a result, I became the agent for American Airlines.
Oh.
At that time, that was in 2002, and I'm still the agent for American Airlines.
Oh, you still, okay. Well, let's back up a little bit. I remember when I came here, I guess it was in the 80s, you had your own airline.
Yes, in 1989, I bought the airline, the national airline from Strasbourg.
Okay.
And when we didn't have an airline, I chartered, the country didn't have an international airline. I chartered a 737 and was running between Miami and Turks and Caicos. As a result, I look today, through me starting that, doing that, sometimes we got up to 8, 9 big jets on the weekend in Providenciales.
Wow.
More than Nassau. And I thank God that He allowed me to do that,
Yeah.
you know. But people benefit.
Yeah.
Also, we're using the American dollar.
Yeah. How did that happen? When I was growing up, it was pound, shillings, and pence.
Right.
Yeah.
When Jamaica got its independence
62.
in 62, we were under Jamaica at that time. And so the Jamaican dollar became our currency. And so a few years later, Jamaica wanted their currency. And the British government said they gave us 5 years where we must make a decision whether we want to continue with Jamaica or whatever country we want to go under. And after Jamaica said that they wanted their money, we decide that it's only Britain, Canada, at that time that we could go under the used currency.
Mm-hmm.
And while we had this discussion, I had a fellow there by the name of Maguire at that time.
Yeah. White guy from Irish guy? Was
Yeah.
Irish? Yeah.
And he loved Canada.
Okay.
And he wanted us to accept Canada as our head of state, and we used the Canadian dollar. But and some say they want Britain. So I told them that Britain was 4,000 miles away. Canada, headquarters, almost the same. Don't make sense. America was 700 miles away. It makes sense to be joined with America if they would accept us. And I said the best thing we can do is ask the government to apply to the to America
Federal Reserve Bank or yeah.
and ask them if they would allow us to use their currency. And seeing that we didn't have a currency, the other countries were too far away from us, and America had an Air Force base there.
Mm-hmm. And a naval base.
And a naval base. Yeah.
And a guided missile base.
Yeah, we asked the government to apply, and they did, and they granted for us to use their dollar as local currency. And that was the best thing that ever happened to the country.
That's right. That's right.
And that's going until now.
Yeah.
Let me talk about the Constitution first.
Okay, sure.
In 1975, we realized that the Constitution that we had, we couldn't go back to the 1976 election under that Constitution. We realized that we got to have a new Constitution. So Mr. Hadley Durham said he knew a lawyer from the Eastern Caribbean that we could use. And we did apply to him. He came down and met with us. And he did draft the Constitution for us. And he charged us, I don't remember exactly the figure, but at that time, none of the people had any money. So I paid the most of that bill for the Constitution. Norman Saunders helped, and a gentleman of the Grand Turk, Mr. Lang, Robin Lang, he helped us also to pay for that Constitution.
With all fairness, where was Jags McCartney and all of this?
This is before.
This before him.
Before him.
Okay, gotcha.
This was. We finished that Constitution in 75.
Okay.
Jags and those came in 76.
Oh, all right. Okay.
A lot of people thought that Jags and those got that Constitution. They had nothing to do with it. But it so happened that that Constitution was the best Constitution that we ever had. In Sandy Point.
Okay.
My heart was for
Sandy Point being part of North Caicos.
My constituency.
Right.
And I go over there, my heart used to bleed, looking at some of the conditions. And in Sandy Point, where the doctor see the patients, it was so deplorable in an old lady residence. I asked the government, the PDM was in power then, they got in 76. I asked the government to build a clinic in Sandy Point, and they did not. So the need was so urgent that I took my own funds and built a clinic for the people and donated it to the people in Sandy Point, which later on, I think maybe 2 or 3 years later, the government asked me to turn it over to them for them to continue where I left off from. Now you ask me where did I met my wife?
Yeah.
We grew up together at school.
In Q. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. And she happened to have a name that I'm familiar with. The last
Missick.
name. Yeah, Rosita Caramanda Missick.
Beatrice.
Oh, Beatrice. Where did Caramanda come from?
I don't know, first time I hear it.
First time here? Okay, that was Lloyd's mother, my Aunt Rosita. Oh, I know. She got her name from Aunt Rosita.
Right.
Rosita, the first name, yeah.
Right.
Her name is Rosita Caramanda Missick Hutchison, and that's all. So,
Uh-huh.
yeah.
Yeah. And,
So you guys met in Q.
yeah, and then she later went off to Jamaica to school to become a nurse.
Nurse, yeah.
And I was in the police force, and then I later joined the Merchant Marines.
And you guys were living, now when did you move to Grand Turk? I remember you all in Grand Turk down North Road, down near the hospital.
I moved to Grand Turk in 1955.
Oh, yeah. Wait, I was 5 years old. I was 5 years old, but I remember you guys.
We weren't married then.
Oh, you weren't married then? Okay.
Oh,
yeah. No. Yeah,
We got married in 62.
Oh, 62, okay.
Yeah.
I was 12.
Yeah.
But I remember you all living down, you had a house down north.
Yeah,
North
that
Road,
was after we got married.
After you got married, yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. And how many children?
3 children.
Okay. The first one was?
Olivia,
Okay. She was born in Grand Turk.
born in Grand Turk.
Okay.
And then I moved my family to the United States.
Is that Port Canaveral or Cape Canaveral?
Yes, in Cocoa, Florida.
Cocoa, Florida.
And and Albray
Okay.
was the second one.
Okay.
He was born in Canaveral, and Canaveral International. He and Doobie.
Okay, Doobie. Yeah.
They were born in the States.
Doobie's real name is Adolphus?
No, Adelson.
Adolson. Yeah. Okay.
Adelson.
Adelson. Okay.
Yeah.
Businessman in his own right here too.
Yeah. Yeah. So.
How many grandchildren?
At the moment?
Yeah.
9.
9. Wow.
9 grandchildren, and I got 2 great grand.
Okay. Wow.
Rashid. He has a boy and a girl.
Yeah. So what is your prognosis for the future of this very successful islands, Turks and Caicos Islands? I mean, but no doubt, and any islands that can have the #1 beach in the world for 8 years, there's something going on here. God is really blessing.
That's Providencialis.
Yeah, that's Providence, right?
Yeah.
That's a good biblical name there.
Yes.
So before you touch on that too, you also started a church too. You told me one time that you had a calling from the Lord, but you kind of went into business.
Yes, but the calling was so dramatic, and I had to later turn to that.
Mm-hmm.
And I built the church.
Yeah. Faith Tabernacle?
Faith Tabernacle Church of God. Mm-hmm. And as a result, when I was in politics, even after I left politics, the British government wanted me back into politics.
Mm-hmm.
And they sent 2 of the ministers here to talk me into, this is when Turner was here, into...
Turner was the governor?
Yeah.
Okay.
To accepting a position which they felt putting me in charge would make the country much better. Mm-hmm. But I couldn't accept that because God had already called me to the ministry.
Mm-hmm.
And in politics you have to make a lot of compromise.
Yeah.
And I didn't want to make that compromise to turn away from what God has called me to.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
So I did not accept.
Okay.
As a matter of fact, while we were in the office of the governor's office negotiating, they were very insisting for me to accept. And I said to myself, well, I would accept the position for 1 term, and then we'll see how it goes.
Mm-hmm.
And before I had a chance to open my mouth to say I accept for 1 term, I heard a voice in this right ear, and it said, there is no position man can bestow upon you greater than that of being an ambassador for God.
Mm-hmm.
And the anointing came on me right there in the governor's office with the 2 ministers and the governor and myself.
Mm-hmm.
And when they saw that, I believe the Spirit of God spoke to them likewise.
Yeah.
And they said, all right, we understand. Mm-hmm. When the anointing come on me, it makes me cry.
Yeah.
And I couldn't stop crying.
Wow.
So,
That's powerful.
huh?
That's powerful. Yeah.
And I have, in a sense, retired because of sickness.
Yeah.
I had 2 operations on each leg, my knee,
Mm.
and I had a major operation on my shoulder.
Wow.
I'm not over that as yet.
Mm.
But this country is blessed.
Mm-hmm.
Most of the people do not understand that we are blessed.
Yeah.
The young people, their lives are not extended to full measure what it could be.
Mm.
But by the same token, they don't have any regard for their parents
Yeah.
and elder people.
Mm-hmm.
God said in His Word that we should honor our father and mother, that thy days may be long
yeah.
upon the land which the Lord thy God giveth thee.
Mm-hmm. In a few words.
I try to help others.
Mm-hmm.
And I try to do my best to live for the Lord.
Mm-hmm.
Because I want to hear, well done,
Yeah. Yeah.
a good and faithful servant.
Mm-hmm.
I do so much things that the people here do not know.
Mm-hmm.
I give to the poor.
Mm-hmm.
I help people in Africa, people in Haiti. I do a lot
Yeah.
for missions.
Mm-hmm.
But people do not know that.
Yeah.
But I give a lot.